Today, let's talk about an old type of cartridge, the Pinfire cartridge. In history, the Pinfire cartridge was applied in many types of firearms, especially revolvers and shotguns, from big caliber cartridges to small caliber cartridges. The first concept of a Pinfire cartridge should be from 1808. There was a man named James Samuel Pauly from Switzerland. When he lived in France, he and a French gunsmith, Francis Pilot, created the first fully self-contained cartridges. And in 1812, Pauly developed his design and made an improvement version which was protected by a patent on 29 September 1812. Although this design used the Pinfire cartridge concept, the new design of Pauly seemingly still had some different points with the real Pinfire cartridge. It is more likely an integrated firearm, isolated chamber, but not a cartridge. The button position of the second of early Pinfire cartridge even had a screwed cover in order to reload the gunpowder, primer, and projectile. The paper cartridge still was the mainstream after all. The early Pinfire cartridge still looked cumbersome and complex. With the time going, in 1832, another French gunsmith, Casimir Lefaucheux, into the Pinfire cartridge story, whose Pinfire revolvers in the 1860s also were very famous and iconic by the way. In this year, they completed a drop barrel sporting gun with paper-cased cartridges, featuring a pinfire mechanism. The design follows the pioneering work of James Samuel Pauly. In 1808 to 1812, Lefaucheux used a cardboard powder tube and a copper base that incorporated a primer pellet. So his cartridge and his gun also proposed one of the first practical branch loading weapons. Then, when the year arrived in 1846, Benjamin Hoyer of France greatly improved the Lefaucheux design. He introduced a base wad and effectively made the cartridge get tight, so the new improvement made the Pinfire cartridges more cheap and clean shooting, and the Pinfire guns grew in popularity in France. But the world still had some prejudice, like some British gun makers thought the Pinfire cartridges might be broken in firing. But with the metallic cartridge tag got more mature, and it was not until the Great Exhibition of 1851 was held in London that the British loading guns were taken more seriously by British and American gun makers in particular. So in the 1850s, more and more gun companies started to make similar products with Pinfire cartridges, and even every fashionable British prince and titled gentleman wanted to have one, because the Lefaucheux's design was too iconic in Pinfire gun field. The Pinfire guns, which were manufactured from the mid-1850s until the late 1890s, often called Lefaucheux guns, after their inventor, whoever the maker was. Plus, in 1858, the Lefaucheux pistolette revolver became the first metallic cartridge revolver to be adopted by a national government, become the standard sidearm of the French Navy. Besides the French Navy, it was adopted by the armies of France, Italy, Spain, Switzerland, Sweden, and others, even including some samurai in Japan. Especially in the American Civil War, it was also widely used. As a kind of early metallic cartridge type, it still kept some firing logic on the percussion cap muzzle loaders. The tail-looking pin looks like the nipple of cap lock muzzle loaders. The hammer would smash it to fire the gunpowder. Okay, this is the working process on the outside. Now let's focus on the inside. As usual, I will put a schematic that I painted. Basically, the working principle is the same as our modern cartridges. They are able to fire the powder in the case by smashing and igniting the primer. But the difference with the rimfire and the centerfire cartridges that are the most popular cartridges nowadays is the premise position. The primer would be set in the inside part of the covered surface of the case, not like the rimfire and the centerfire cartridges. The primer is set in the bottom. Back to the pinfire cartridge, because of the special sitting position of the primer, the hammer and fire pin can't touch the primer directly, so the designer given it a pin which could go into the case inside and touch the primer. Now, finally, the hammer is able to smash and ignite the primer. In addition, hundreds of years ago, pinfire cartridges were popular. Many weapon companies even made some products like the pins and the primers in order to be more convenient to reload the pinfire cartridges in the 19th century. However, the pinfire cartridge and the pinfire gun had very glorious days, but the good time didn't go very long. Although the pinfire guns were very popular in the 1850s. In fact, with a more reliable rimfire and centerfire cartridge becoming available, pinfire became obsolete because the rimfire and the centerfire cartridges without the pin. So the gun could be reloaded quicker and safer. When we look back to the pinfire cartridge, the pin gradually became its very obvious disadvantage because when loading the pinfire cartridge, the operator needed a liner in the slot in the chamber. Plus, because of the pin, the ammunition might accidentally detonate during rough handling, particularly of a loose ammunition. Thus, pinfire rifles and shotguns began to decline in use from the early 1860s onward. In addition, the pinfire cartridge is not a regular cylinder shape, so it is hard to match the magazine of guns in use compared with the rimfire and the centerfire cartridge, so it made the pinfire cartridge be limited in use in modern time. Since the years of early part of the 20th century, pinfire guns had not been made in large numbers. But nowadays, there are still some pinfire cartridges built out in some special use, like some very small caliber guns as small as 2 to 3 millimeters, because the size is too small and it's hard to use rimfire and centerfire. So some pinfire cartridges are still used on a modern novelty miniature pistol. But now, most pinfire cartridges are the collections on the collector market. If someone wants to fire those bullets again, they will have to reload the cartridge, powder, and the primer by themselves with a modern material possibly. Plus, there is still an interesting vintage pinfire cartridge collection made in 20th century, which was manufactured from the Germany factory and it might be from 1939 to 1944 during World War II. So this is this video, and thank you for watching. Hope you can like this video. Have a good day. See you next time. Bye.